There's a white powder sitting on a hardware store shelf right now. It costs $2. It drops your indoor temperature by a full 10 degrees. It reflects 98% of all incoming sunlight, and it generates more cooling power than the air conditioning unit running in your home at this exact moment. Purdue University tested this powder. Guinness World Records certified the results. The ancient Greeks painted every single wall with it. The Romans mixed it into their plaster. Every white village clinging to the Mediterranean coastline still relies on this exact same powder today to survive the summer. And today, homeowner associations across 17 states have quietly written rules that make it illegal to apply on your own roof. Not because it failed, because it worked too well. This is the story of the cheapest cooling solution humanity ever invented. And the $300 billion industry that decided you should never know its name. Welcome to Forbidden Camping. This is where we open the vaults they tried to lock shut. If this matters to you, subscribe and ring the bell right now. Travel back to 1500 BC, the island of Crete. The Minoan civilization already understood something that modern engineers spent billions of dollars to rediscover. Dark stone absorbs heat like a baking oven. They knew it, so they crushed local limestone, mixed it with water, and painted every surface facing the blazing Mediterranean sun pure white. Indoor temperatures held near 72 degrees even when the outside air reached 95. No electricity, no mechanical systems of any kind, no monthly bill arriving in the mail, just limestone, water, and the basic physics of solar reflection working silently around the clock. The technique spread across the entire ancient world: Santorini, Mykonos, Morocco, southern Spain, southern Italy. For 4,000 years, the recipe never changed, because it never needed to. The ancient Greeks did not stumble onto this by accident. They understood that color determines heat. White surfaces scatter sunlight outward. Dark surfaces trap it inward. They applied this knowledge to every home, every temple, every wall facing the sun. The result was an entire civilization that lived comfortably through brutal summers without a single moving part. The Romans took it further. They mixed calcium lime directly into their plaster, into their building mortar, into the exterior walls of entire cities. Roman architects specified white exterior surfaces not for aesthetics alone, but specifically for thermal control. Cities across North Africa, the Middle East, and Southern Europe stayed measurably cooler because of this single material. Roman legions, building permanent camps across 3 continents, applied the same principle to every structure they raised. For 4,000 years, billions of people cooled their homes with a powder that cost almost nothing to produce. Then in 1902, Willis Carrier invented modern mechanical air conditioning. Not because air conditioning cooled better, because air conditioning could be sold to you every single month for the rest of your life. Lime cannot generate recurring revenue. You buy it once, you mix it with water, you paint your roof, it works for years. No filter to replace, no compressor to service, no electricity bill that climbs higher every summer and never comes back down. The air conditioning industry looked at a $14 solution and decided you should pay thousands for the alternative instead. And then they spent the next century making sure the comparison never crossed your mind. Now stay with me, because the science behind this powder is even more devastating than the history. In 1973, a researcher at Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory in California ran an experiment that should have changed everything known about residential cooling. He painted a flat rooftop with simple powdered limestone, not a commercial coating, not a synthetic product from a major manufacturer, the same crushed calcium carbonate that Greek grandmothers had been applying to their walls for 3,000 years. The results were immediate, and they were stunning. That white roof dropped its surface temperature by 40 degrees compared to the dark roof sitting directly beside it on the same building. Interior temperatures fell by 8 full degrees. The building required 0 air conditioning for the entire summer. A $14 bag of hydrated lime from the hardware store outperformed a $5,000 air conditioning system installed by a licensed contractor. But the scientific story does not end in 1973. In 2021, Professor Shulin Ruin at Purdue University in Indiana created something that shook the entire paint and cooling industry at the same time. The whitest paint ever recorded in human history. It reflects 98.1% of all sunlight that contacts its surface. Standard commercial white paint reflects 80% at absolute best. But surfaces coated with Professor Ruin's formula do not simply stay cool under direct sun, they actually drop below the surrounding air temperature while the sun is hitting them directly. During peak daylight hours, the surface measured 8 degrees cooler than the ambient air around it. At night, the difference grew to 19 degrees below air temperature. Professor Ruin calculated that painting 1,000 square feet of roof with this formula produces a constant cooling output of 10 kilowatts. 10 kilowatts of continuous cooling power, produced by paint, consuming 0 watts of electricity. No compressor, no refrigerant, no utility bill, no service technician required. The Guinness Book of World Records certified this as the whitest surface ever created by human hands. Peer-reviewed science confirmed every single measurement. CNN ran the story. The Smithsonian covered it in full. Every major science publication on Earth reported it. And then almost nothing changed inside the industry. Here is why nothing changed. And this is the part of the story they truly do not want you to reach. The global paint industry generates over $200 billion every year. Sherwin-Williams, PPG Industries, BASF, these companies engineer their products to last 5 to 7 years before requiring replacement. Their entire business model runs on repeat purchase cycles arriving on a predictable schedule. The air conditioning market adds another $100 billion annually on top of that figure. Installation fees, extended service contracts, filter and refrigerant replacements, monthly electricity consumption that never stops regardless of the season. In lime coating, you apply yourself for $14. That lasts years with simple seasonal reapplication, and that eliminates your cooling costs entirely, threatens both of these industries simultaneously. Combined, that is over $300 billion in annual global revenue that depends entirely on you never calculating what the ancient Greeks already understood. You cannot patent limestone, you cannot trademark calcium hydroxide, you cannot create a proprietary version of a material any person on Earth can purchase for $7 at any hardware store. And what cannot be owned cannot generate profit. And what cannot generate profit must be made invisible. So they made it invisible. Homeowner associations across dozens of states now explicitly prohibit white or highly reflective roofing surfaces inside their governing documents. Read that sentence one more time carefully. They have written formal rules requiring earth tones, browns, and dark grays on residential rooftops. Specifically, the colors that absorb maximum solar heat. Specifically, the colors that mathematically guarantee your air conditioning unit runs from May through October without pause. This is documented inside HOA rulebooks available to any member who requests them. It is not hidden from legal view. It is simply never discussed, never challenged, and never connected to the energy bill arriving every month. The roofing industry set building standards that favor commercial synthetic products, requiring scheduled professional replacement. A $14 bag of lime generates zero industry revenue from installation, zero from maintenance, and zero from the electricity it eliminates. So the industry ensured it was simply left out of every recommendation, every home improvement guide, and every contractor conversation for the last 50 years. Here's exactly what you do with this knowledge starting today. Go to any hardware store and purchase one 50-pound bag of Type S hydrated lime. The cost is $7 to $14 per bag, depending on your location. This is not a specialty product. It sits on the same shelf as concrete mix and mortar supplies in every hardware store in every state in the country. Mix the powder with clean water until the consistency matches thin milk. Approximately 1 part lime to 2 parts water stirred until completely smooth. This is the identical mixture that Mediterranean families have been applying every spring for 3,000 years without modification. Apply the mixture with a thick paint roller or a wide brush onto your roof surface, 2 full coats. Allow the first coat to dry completely overnight before applying the second. The first coat seals the surface. The second coat delivers the full reflective performance. Total material cost for an average-sized residential roof, $14 to $28. Total time required, 1 single afternoon. A homeowner in Texas applied this method exactly as described. His attic temperature dropped from 140 degrees down to 97 degrees following the application. His indoor living space temperature fell by 10 full degrees across every room. His air conditioning unit barely activated for the entire remainder of the summer. He documented over $1,200 in electricity savings from a single season. 2 bags of powder, 1 afternoon. Now compare that honestly against the alternative. A new air conditioning installation costs $5,000 to $15,000 paid up front before a single degree of cooling is produced. Monthly electricity bills run $150 or higher through every summer month. Annual maintenance, filter replacement, and refrigerant checks add another $200 to $300 per year on top of the operational cost. Or $14 once per year, 1 afternoon every spring. One important truth before you go. Lime coating is not identical to modern synthetic roof sealants, and it should not be presented as one. It wears faster than commercial coatings. It requires reapplication every 2 to 3 years, sometimes every spring in harsher climates. That is not a flaw in the material. That is exactly how your grandparents used it. 2 hours of simple work each spring, $14 in materials, a home that stays cool through the entire summer without a single machine consuming power. The powder is still sitting there. It has always been there. $7 on a hardware store shelf, no warning label, no patent number, no subscription model attached. Your great-grandmother knew exactly what it was. She used it every spring without a second thought. The science at Purdue confirmed everything she already understood through experience, and the industry spent $300 billion making sure the conversation between her generation and yours never happened. Today it happened. If this opens something for you, subscribe and share it with one person still paying that electricity bill every month without understanding why it never comes down. Every share preserves what they invested billions to erase from your memory. The next vault opens soon. What is inside is even heavier than what we opened today.